The key to winning more games in Madden 26 is simply scoring more points than your opponent, and the easiest way to do that is mastering a great offense scheme like my Chicago Bears offense. Once you master these plays, you'll be lining up the scoreboard, so you're absolutely not going to miss out on any of these plays, and let's jump right into it. Like I said, this is an entire offensive scheme, and all the plays connect, so you're absolutely not going to miss out on any of them, but let me show you the first one, an easy one-play touchdown. Alright, and so that play here is going to be motion halfback choice from Gun Bunch X Nasty. All we're going to do, put our tight end in a corner out, we're going to put B on a shriek, we're going to block our halfback. And so essentially what you're going to see is when they call cover 3, which is a lot of time going to be indicated by a single high safety, we're going to take the snap, and you're going to get time. If you can get time in the pocket, you're going to move around, and you're going to be able to pass lead that ball to RB inside, and if you can, bring in a contested catch, or a lot of the time, you're just going to be able to rack it. Now, I had to move around in the pocket a little bit there, so, it kind of made it a little bit different, but you see how this is why pocket presence is important. I don't know why Caleb jumped, but, you could just move around, find space to throw the ball. Now you see I have way better blocking, and so then you're just going to pass lead this ball inside, because again, this defender gets sucked outside by this shriek route, and so essentially this fade is going to bend his route inside of this guy and be able to just be an easy target for you to hit. So we'll go ahead and go through it again right here. If you want to, you can also put your running back on an in route to give yourself like an extra check down option in case you do get shedded, but you're going to see it right here where offensive line gives us, or I thought they gave us, time to throw, but you're going to see how you're going to have that fade over the top. But never be afraid of hitting your check down, right? Because obviously I'm going to, spy off the pass rush here just so I can show you this route. But you're just going to see how easy of a pass lead inside that is. It's just a wide open touchdown. But again, if you happen to get shedded, please make sure that you are getting rid of that ball underneath so that you're not taking sacks. But here, they're not obviously always going to run cover 3. So right here, they're going to be in cover 2. I really wouldn't call this against man coverage. This is more of a zone coverage beater. But right here, they're just going to be in cover 2, and you're going to notice how it's the same thing. Honestly, against cover 2, it's even more wide open because the same thing's going to happen where that corner route on DJ Moore, the outside receiver, is going to move that zone or that deep path outside, and it's just going to leave the middle of the field wide open. So again, you see how far Winfield, moves over to the sideline here to defend this corner out, and then that just leaves a huge void right here in the middle of the field to Luther Burden, and we're just going to be able to throw it to this route to who is this number 15. He's just going to occupy this deep half, and then we're going to be able to pass that ball inside for a huge gain. So very, very easy, one play touchdown there, zone coverage, whether even if they run cover 4, if their, hooks are too shallow, you can throw that pass right up the seam to Burden, or you can just hit your running back out of the backfield. So this is a great one play touchdown against zone coverage here from the Bears playbook, motion halfback choice from Bunch X Nasty. Alright, the next thing you need to master here with this Bears offense is the best offensive settings. If you're not using the best settings right now in offense, you're not even going to have time to throw your one-play touchdowns, or your receivers are just going to be catching passes behind their body. Let me show you the best offensive settings to use right now. Alright, so the best settings these are going to be gameplay settings, so you can do these on the main menu. You don't have to set these particular settings every game, but we're going to come into our passing mechanics. So we're going to come into placement and accuracy for our passing type. Certainly don't use classic, don't use revamp. You should be using placement and accuracy just so that you can get a good feel for, how you can get these balls out in front of these receivers and allow them to catch the ball in stride. Pass lead increase, you can use small or you can use none. Just understand the kind of risk reward that comes with small, right? It's like you're going to be able to throw some crazy passes, get some crazy pass leads away from defenders against man coverage, but you can overthrow some passes as well, as far as like it being a red pass and it's an easy interception. But vertical speed in between 5 and 20 is really the best setting that you want to use for that, because that's going to allow you to get control again over where these passes are going. But if we get onto the field, so I can kind of show you exactly what you're getting when you're using freeform passing. So in order to activate freeform passing, when you throw the ball, you have to make sure that you're holding left trigger on Xbox, L2 on PlayStation. That's going to activate the kind of freeform mechanic, and that's going to give you maximum control over where the ball is going. So Or to take, for example, this underneath pass. You see how that ball was out in front of Colston Loveland right there? And the reason why is because I freeformed it with left trigger. I gave myself the most control as possible. So right here, I'm going to try to do the same thing. And once again, that ball is out in front of that receiver. Now, every time you freeform, the ball is not going to be out in front of the guy because sometimes you just mess up the freeform, right? Sometimes you put the ball behind the guy to where he has to turn his body. Another great example is if they're going to run cover 2, we're going to call like street corner flat right here, and we're gonna have, you know, RB wide open right here on the sideline. Being able, like, you see how he had to turn his body right there, and I mean, shout out to me for having the greatest stick and speed boost to be able to still score, but it's like that ball was behind the receiver, he had to turn his body, and he wasn't able to catch it in stride. So it's like, you obviously don't want that to happen, right? And this is just because I just pressed RB. I didn't freeform this pass. He has to turn his body. I mean, we still turn into a, you know, a big play and a touchdown, but it's like, for the most part, right, you want to be able to get these passes out in front of these guys. Now, sometimes you do want to throw the ball behind the guy, especially if there's a defender kind of lurking inside, then you throw outside. But again, we're going to throw it right here, and we're going to see that time be able to catch that ball out in stride. And of course, that time we don't end up scoring. But it's like, for the most part, that's kind of the best practice, to be able to just hold left trigger and give yourself full control over where your passes are going, instead of what you might be doing right now is just pressing that button. Also, if I were to just let this pass go right up the seam to my tight end, well, I would want this pass, I don't want him to have to turn his body and, you know, slow his momentum down. I want him to just be able to catch it in stride, and that's really what freeform passing is able to do. So again, make sure you're holding left trigger on Xbox, L2, and PlayStation. You don't have to do it every play, but on passes where you, again, really want to give yourself the most control as possible, make sure that you're using freeform. Now, another great example of a great offense settings that you need to make sure that you understand is auto pass protection. You want to make sure you're using base and standard pass protection, right? When you're playing against 4-man rushes, for example, that's really when you want to use base protection. Empty is when you're playing against like blitzes, for example, or excuse me, custom stunts. There's a lot of custom stunts in this game that are going to absolutely annihilate base protection. That's why people use them, because a lot of people use base protection. But if you're going to just try to counter that, make sure you're using empty protection. But again, for the most part, against a lot of different defensive alignments, base protection is going to be fine. It's going to basically eliminate a lot of those just random shed, or not even sheds, but like random A gaps and random B gaps, C gaps, just random guys walking your backfield because your line doesn't actually know who to block. Base protection is going to do a great job of, you know, getting rid of that, because there's also plays where EA is going to give you pass protection. If you notice a lot, some plays EA is going to have blue lines under your offensive line, which is basically them setting pass protection for you. The problem with that is if they set pass protection and your opponent shifts their defensive line the opposite way that EA is setting your blocking to, you're just going to notice how if you're not paying attention, you don't change it. You see how two guys come in completely free because EA told me to full slide or half slide my line to the left. They happen to blitz me off of the right side. So obviously, like, even if you block your running back tight end, it's just not going to matter. I mean, the two guys come in free. That's absolutely unacceptable. So really, for the most part, make sure that you have base protection turned on, because essentially what's going to happen is, even if they're going to set up the same blitz, you're going to notice how we're actually going to be able to counter this blitz, and we now have time to throw. You know, if I get rid of the ball earlier, right, two guys aren't coming in free off of that right side. Instead, now only one guy came in free. That just happened because they're blitzing more guys than we're blocking. But it's like one guy comes in free. I could have honestly ID'd the mic and picked him up, but now we have way more time to throw, and our pass protection is better. So those are the best offense settings that you need to be using. You want to make sure you have freeform passing on to give yourself the most control when you're passing the ball, and you need your pass protection to be sound by using base protection against standard rushes and empty protection against a lot of your custom stunt type of defenses. Alright, so if you enjoyed those first two tips here to dominate from the Chicago Bears playbook, they don't even compare to what I have for you in the rest of the video. So make sure you go down below, hit that subscribe button. But again, if you want a free guide to dominate an offense here in Madden 26, make sure you go down below in the comments section, comment free. I'll send it right over to you. But let's jump right back into the video. Alright, the next play that makes the Chicago Bears offense super overpowered is the halfback direct snap run play. It's the most toxic run in the game, and you need to start abusing it. Let me show you exactly how to do that. Alright, so we're going to come into gun, we're going to come into Y off trips, and the play that we're going to be calling is, again, halfback direct snap right here. Now, I'm just going to have them in random defense, and you're going to notice how this is a direct snap run play. It's way better than a lot of your other standard rushes because you're going to be able to get out to the second level way sooner, and you're able to speed boost. You see right there where I'm able to speed boost twice and get away from those guys. You would almost never be able to do what I just did right there with a standard handoff because you're just not able to get to the second level of the defense fast enough, right? That's mid blitz, one of the best defenses in the game. I speed boosted right here to cut it up, and then as soon as I see McCollum right here, boom, speed boost away from him, dumb out his pursuit angle, and now I'm able to just get a walk-in touchdown with DeAndre Swift. So that's why getting good with the speed boost, that kind of just makes this run even better. Now, I would say, really, with this run, you can follow your blocks. You're almost never going to lose yards with this play. That's going to be super rare, and that helps your averages so much when you're never going to lose yards, right? I'm almost always going to be able to get past the line of scrimmage, and if you really think about it, when you run this play, your yards per carry a lot of the time, like your average, is going to be 4 yards. So if you ran this all 4 plays, you're picking up a first down. Right, so again, boom, or really, I guess you'd only have to really run it 3 plays, right? And you're able to pick up first downs over and over again. So it's really no problem here, right? Sometimes you can follow your blocks. You want to make sure that you have good run vision. You're able to see holes. But obviously, like, if I were to hand this ball off to DeAndre Swift, it's just way slower of me being able to get to the, the right spot and pick my gap versus if I'm just taking a handoff, right? And so again, when you get to that second level, you're going to try to speed boost away. And this is the defense's worst nightmare, right? If I'm a user, I want to be able to gap shoot, right? Run plays like I've showed you guys so many times here throughout the year. But when they call this play, you can't really gap shoot this. The handoff is too, like, he's getting the ball too early, right? And so again, when he gets to the second level, that's when he becomes the most problematic. So when you're on offense, you guys need to stand. Now, I believe that was actually the first run where we lost yards just because they did a good job sealing off the edge, or setting the edge. But it's like, boom, we're going to be able to break that tackle, and we could have speed boosted it out of there. So like, this is a very simple run. There's really nothing for me to break down here. You're just trying to pick your gaps and getting to the right spot. My average, I would imagine, is, pretty huge right here. We're just going to see, obviously, right here, they're going to be in prevent. And this is if I had to call a run play, like with the game on the line, like they're in prevent, I would call halfback direct snap because you're able to see how you can speed boost. A lot of the time, these guys just completely miss, and we're going to be able to turn into a big run. So we just come into the stats right here. And I actually thought they had stats, but I guess they don't have stats here in practice mode, only for the quarterbacks. But it's like, this is a super easy run. You guys need to start abusing a halfback direct snap, gun wide off trips, take that direct snap with your running back, follow your blocks, pick your gaps, and work on your speed boost once you get to the second level to rip off big runs. All right, so as great as that one-play touchdown I showed you earlier is, and how great direct snap is, at some point the game's going to be on the line and you need a play that you can absolutely rely on. Let me show you the best one to use right now from the Bears playbook. Alright, so we're going to come into gun bunch X nasty right here. We're going to come into spacing switch. This is the go-to play, and the reason why that's the case is because your halfback table route is really super hard to stop. I'm going to have them in random defense here, so we're going to get this look against a lot of different defenses, but essentially this is the route concept. Tight end on an out route, a Dunze on a return route, RB on a crosser, X on a shriek. Essentially, you're just trying to build around the halfback route. You're going to see it right here where they're going to have a flat zone on that side, yes. But just look at that. We're able to pick up 13, 14 yards on that play simply because this curl flat, he's just not in the right spot. He's just not close enough. And then this running back, like we know, gets a speed boost out of the backfield. So he's going to get this speed boost, and then I'm going to speed boost again with him as soon as I get the ball. You see I speed boost away from Winfield slightly, dumb out his pursuit angle, and then I'm able to pick up like 14, 15 yards on a little 3-yard table route, right? And here's the thing. If you try to put DeAndre Swift on a table route out of the backfield, it's not going to be as great as this one, because this one gets like a little subtle speed boost out of the backfield, but you're also able to see that time they put hard flats on the field, and so I'm able to step up in the pocket and still hit my crosser. That's why a 1-2-3 read progression is so important for you to master, because the first read on this play should be your running back, then it should be your crosser, and then you should progress to your return route. Now, if you feel like they're blitzing, which maybe they could right here, maybe you want to block your tight end, but you're going to see how, again, right there, they have it manned up. and we're still able to pick up 4 yards on that table route simply because he gets that speed boost out of the backfield. So again, right here, don't really feel intimidated by their blitz. So they're going to send 3, and when they send 3, you step up in the pocket and you try to hit your crosser. The great thing about a play like this is it doesn't matter the defense that they call. You're going to have someone open so long as you have time to throw. So it's like you're never going to take sacks with a play like this. You're going to see right here, the most important thing is never forcing a read, actually going through the entire read progression, right? And being intentional and being serious about if that first read is there, you need to hit him. There's no reason to even look to other routes unless it's like 4th down and long or something. If they give you the table route, you just hit the table route. Right here, they're going to give us that crosser in the middle, and so we're going to hit it. Obviously, if they blitz, understand that you're sending 5 out, but you're noticing how I'm never taking sacks with this. Someone's wide open every single play with this, and so it really is a great play. Like I said, when the game's on the line, there's no flat on that side. We hit that route, we have it wide open. So again, you're going through your read progression. First, you're looking to your running back, then you're looking to your crosser, then you're looking to your return. And if you step up in the pocket and you see no one else is open, that 4th kind of read there is to just take off with your quarterback, Caleb Williams, and slide down in the open field. But this is one of the best plays in the game because it starts with that halfback table route. Alright, make sure that you're subscribed to this channel before I jump into this final tip, because I break down offensive tips and tricks just like this every single day and give you guys free ebooks here on Madden 26 that you're absolutely not going to miss out on. So it's really a no-brainer. Why aren't you subscribed already? Let's jump right back in the video. Alright, all games are going to be won and lost when you drive the ball inside the 20 and more specifically inside the 10-yard line. Let me show you the best money play here from the Bears playbook that makes scoring 7s instead of kicking field goals very easy. Alright, so we're going to come into RPO read wide flat from gun Y off trips right here, and you're going to notice how dangerous of a play this is because this play has a great tight end flat route, and we know how dangerous this is going to be. So it's just going to be very hard for them to defend. Now, right there, we're able to fall into the end zone. Whenever it's tight like that, right, for example, where it's super close to where you're going to sometimes fall forward, sometimes you're not, always make sure you're holding right stick up in those situations so that you can try to extend the ball over the goal line and just get that extra yard. You're going to see right here, great job, but, you know, sometimes you're just going to be able to break tackles, especially slot corners against your tight end. You know, they're just going to be bigger than those guys, and they're going to be able to make plays. Now, this is a handoff situation where, right, they're going to be in 3 deep, so I'm probably, oh, no, I'm definitely going to throw that pass out there. I kind of saw that last second that defensive end was coming in free, so I throw that pass out there and really make that read. Also, you can keep the ball with your quarterback if you need to. I would say the first read is going to be the tight end flat, then the running back handoff, and then if you need to, make sure you're holding A on Xbox, X on PlayStation to keep the ball on this read option. If the read key defender, the guy with the R over his head, if he crashes down in the run. So right here, I'm going to see he's going to crash down in the run, so I can just keep it with my quarterback. I also, I think, could have thrown my flat out there. So that's why I say everything on passes, RPOs, comes down to a read progression. There was no reason for me to keep that ball with my quarterback, although it worked, if they're just going to give up the flat. So again, right here, everyone's looking in the backfield, just throw the flat. It's a walk-in touchdown. So giving yourself 3, honestly, pretty good options really makes this play pretty dangerous. But also, don't forget about this backside curl to Roma Doomsday. Obviously, right here, they're going to be in a cover 2, and so it's not going to be open. But right here, we're just going to throw the flat, right? Because everyone crashes down on the quarterback and on the handoff. They're all blitzing, and so I'm just going to throw that pass out there. So you see it time and time again, right? As long as you make the read, you practice this play, you practice making the reads, right, it's going to be easy. You see how that defender kind of caught in no man's land right there. He's not guarding anything, and so I just ended up throwing the pass out there. So don't be afraid to keep the ball with your quarterback if you can read the read key defender if he crashes down. But I would say most of the time here with this, 75-80% of the time, your first read is going to be Colson Loveland on his tight end flat. And again, if it's a tight situation where it's like they're standing right at the goal line, hold that right stick up to try to extend the ball over that pod line and score a touchdown. But this is the best red zone play here from the Bears playbook that's going to make scoring touchdowns down in the goal line easy. Alright, so if you enjoyed that complete guide to the Bears offense here in Madden 26, make sure you go down below at that subscribe button. I break down offensive tips and tricks and ebooks for free every single day here in Madden 26, and you don't want to miss out on any of the content that I have. But again, if you want my free guide to dominant offense here in Madden 26, make sure you go down below and comment free. I'll send it over to you. And again, if you want a lockdown defense to pair with this newfound Bears offense, check out this video where I break down the Jaguars ebook. I'll see you over there. Peace.